Let's use our new partial view here on the list of restaurants. So instead of displaying all our restaurants inside of a table, let's display our restaurants as a series of panels. So that means for each restaurant in my model, I want to show this partial view underscore summary. So over inside of list.cshtml, one thing I can do here is take my table and completely remove it from the view. Instead, what I want to do is loop through each restaurant in the restaurants collection that came in as part of my model. And now I can render each partial view. I can do that with a tag helper named partial. So all the tag helpers we've seen so far, tag helpers like ASP-4 and ASP-page, all these tag helpers appear as HTML attributes. Partial is a tag helper that appears as a full element. And when I use the partial tag helper, there's a couple parameters that I have to pass along, and I can pass those parameters in what looks like HTML attributes. But just remember, all of this is processed and rendered on the server. So there is no partial tag being sent to the client. This partial tag is going to be replaced with the contents of my partial view underscore summary. And the way I specify that is by setting the name. What do I want to render? I want to render underscore summary. And because this partial view is in the same folder as this list razor page, ASP.NET Core will easily find this partial view. I could also place this partial view into the shared folder, and then I could render this partial view from anywhere. The second bit of information that I need to specify is the model. What model do I want to pass in to this partial view? Well, I want to pass in the current restaurant that I am looping through. And with that, I can close my tag off. And I also want to point out inside of list.cshtml itself, this partial view has helped to simplify this view somewhat. We've removed a lot of code here and placed it into a partial view that is solely responsible for just showing an individual restaurant. Let me save all the files. Let's come out to the browser and test this with a refresh. And what we have, again, isn't the fanciest UI, but I now have my restaurants in a series of panels, and the action buttons here are still available. Now, partial views work very well in this situation where I already have a model and I just want to hand off that model or a piece of that model to a partial view to render. So as long as I can give the partial view the model information it needs, everything works fine. What happens if I want to have a reusable piece of UI that I can use from everywhere, and I want to make that a little more autonomous, a little more independent? What I want is something like a partial view, but a partial view that has the capability to do its own data access. Well, that's when I can turn to view components in ASP.NET Core. Let's look at those next.